Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless host, Clay Travis. Thanks for coming to hang with me on Wednesday as we move closer and closer to the official start of summer. I am Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show, presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. And we begin, as we always do, with some of the biggest stories in the universe of my world, anyway. First of all, we're going to start talking about Donald Trump and his decision to fire James Comey, the FBI director, and the fallout has suddenly arisen since then. We are also going to talk about Jim McElwain and whether or not we believe that he was responsible for drunkenly humping, probably, naked humping of a shark. Do we buy his denials or not? And third, we will talk about Disney stock tanking as ESPN continues to collapse all around it. Another quarter, another bit of bad news, another bad week for Disney stock, all traced directly to ESPN, which yours truly has been telling you for some time is a fundamentally broken business that cannot be saved. At some point in time, maybe Wall Street will come around and say, my God, Clay Travis, you're the Warren Buffett of sports media. But we begin with this major news that happened yesterday afternoon. Donald Trump decided to fire James Comey, the FBI director, who was responsible for the Hillary Clinton investigation into the emails. They were approximately 3 years into a 10-year term, and he decided to do it on the recommendation of his attorney general and on the deputy attorney general, I believe, and he attached their letters, which I have read as well. So let's begin with our discussion of Donald Trump, who seems unable to go a day without massive news breaking out. Here's the deal. I do not believe that Donald Trump is evil. I do not believe that he wants to be a dictator. I think that he and his White House are fundamentally incompetent. I think it is a White House being run by primarily unintelligent people. I do not believe that Donald Trump is a very intelligent fellow. I do not believe that he is evil. I don't believe there's any conspiracy surrounding Russia. I don't believe that Trump or his advisors are smart enough to manage a conspiracy involving multi-state party conspiracy. I just don't believe they're smart enough. I believe some people are evil. Look, I believe in evil. But I believe that most men who are truly evil and are successful are also devious geniuses. I do not believe that Donald Trump is smart enough to pull off a scheme whereby Russia would infiltrate American elections, give him covert information that he would be capable of following the screenplay of and following directions to actually take advantage of it. I think Russia tried to impact the election. I think by and large what they impacted the election with were real emails, which is why I haven't been that troubled by the whole Russian hacking the election. If you don't want to be hacked by Russia, don't fucking respond to phishing emails like Podesta did. Don't allow all of your emails to be leaked. It was just accurate information. Do I believe that Russia in any way made contact with Donald Trump? No, I do not. Do I believe that Donald Trump is intelligent enough to do a multi-state investigation in this respect? No way. No way possible. This is an incompetent White House. This is not an evil White House. And so I use all of that as the background here. What most shocks me about the decision to fire James Comey is not the predictable response from Democrats who mere days potentially ago were saying no one had any faith in James Comey and he needed to be replaced. Yet the moment that Donald Trump does it, they suddenly say, oh my God, Donald Trump is trying to cover up everything. Hello, he's doing exactly what you asked him to do. This is memorably reflected if we want to go into sports media and also point out why most people in the sports media are liberal and dumb. My good friend Keith Olbermann, who I have never met before, Olbermann is perfect for this example. Did you guys see what he tweeted? This is fundamentally outstanding. Keith Olbermann on, let's see, as recently as the 6th of November, Keith Olbermann tweeted, our one bipartisan moment. This man's position at the FBI is no longer tenable. Hashtag fire Comey. And then on last night, yesterday afternoon, congratulations at real Donald Trump. You have just impeached yourself. Hashtag flee. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a history about my political experience. I was in Washington, D.C. for college, and I worked on the Hill during the Bill Clinton impeachment proceedings. I was in Congressman Bob Clement out of Nashville at the Times office, and what I did on a day-to-day basis when I would go into that office was I was in charge of collating all the complaints and demands associated with the Clinton impeachment, and I put them into stacks. Should Bill Clinton be impeached? Should he not be impeached? Should he be fired? Should he not be fired? Imagine me, 18 or 19 years old, I would field calls from angry people calling Washington, D.C. about Bill Clinton's oral sex shenanigans, angry grown-ups screaming at me. I'm 19 years old, just answering calls. And when I would go there, I would get all these, back in the day, before they restricted all mail, you'd open the mail, and it would all be responses to what people thought about the Bill Clinton impeachment scandal. So literally, I'm not even kidding about this, literally my entire day during the impeachment scandal would be spent going through the mail and putting in a impeach him, don't impeach him, like just huge piles of constituent responses into do you or do you not impeach Bill Clinton. So I'm sitting there all day, impeach him, don't impeach him. So I've been through these processes before, and what I have found over and over again is that people make the argument that benefits their respective party. And I actually wrote a paper at the time in D.C., and it was fascinating. You could go back in time and see what Democrats said about Richard Nixon needing to be impeached and also the rationale for it. And you could compare it with what Democrats were saying about Bill Clinton and vice versa. Some of the guys had been in Congress long enough that they had had comments about Watergate, and they had also had comments about the Clinton impeachment scandals. And almost to a man and woman, they directly told which party they were responding to. In other words, if they were a Republican, they were anti-Bill Clinton but had tried to defend Richard Nixon back in the day. If they were a Democrat, they were pro-Bill Clinton but had argued that Richard Nixon needed to go back in the day. I mean, literally the exact same arguments. It's uncanny to be able to look at those. So what you always have to assume is that everybody is going to use whatever practical impacts happen in terms of decisions to advance their own political causes. So it's not a surprise that many of the same Democratic senators who had been advocating for Comey to be fired, when he actually gets fired, immediately take flight and argue, you know what, this makes absolutely no sense. This is an impeachable offense by the president. This is completely without precedent. This is the Saturday Night Massacre, all these different things. Here is my issue with the Trump White House in general. I don't think anybody in the White House had any clue how this was going to play. I don't think, again, that anything surrounding Russia is going to be connected to Donald Trump or high-level people in his administration. I just don't think that's going to happen, okay? I don't think that the administration that ran for president is smart enough to have conducted a high-level conspiracy with Russia and avoided it becoming immediately readily apparent what was going on. You can disagree with me. I don't think, even if you hate Donald Trump, this is not an evil White House intent on dictatorial control. It's an incompetent one, all right? Donald Trump is an incompetent official president, right? He is not very good at his job. He doesn't know what he's doing, all of these things. And so when you actually look at this story, what disappoints me is not the firing of Comey. I don't think it's that significant in the grand scheme of things. What disappoints me is the incompetence once more of the Trump White House to not understand that this was not going to be a bipartisan moment when everybody was going to hold hands and join together and sing Kumbaya. This was going to be a mess. This was a disastrous decision in terms of the way that it's implemented. When your administration is being investigated for Russian ties, even if there are none, you are not going to suddenly get bipartisan support when you fire the guy who's conducting the investigation. If Trump really thought that Comey was unable to conduct this investigation, what he should have done is say, I'm firing Comey and I am announcing that I believe an independent investigation into this Russian election situation needs to take place. If he had done that, then I think that's somewhat bipartisan. I think that's probably where we are headed. I don't like independent counsels who are investigating situations because I think you end up in a Ken Starr type situation where you find an Inspector Javert to go Les Miserables on you guys who is going to follow somebody around because they tried to steal a loaf of bread. I don't think that it makes sense in situations like this. Now, at least unlike in the Ken Starr investigation, we're actually investigating something that is significant in the Russia investigation as opposed to whether or not Bill Clinton lied about getting a blowjob, which I think is still one of the most ridiculous investigations to ever go on. Of course, the irony here is that Ken Starr ended up losing his job at Baylor because he conducted inadequate investigations into alleged sexual assault on campus, which is amazing in many different respects, the fact that that was ever allowed to happen. So my position on Comey is that I don't really think it's that significant that he's gone, but I think it's incompetent once more of the Trump White House. Here's what I want from the Trump White House. I just want him to get a fucking tax cut through, okay? I pay almost 40% in tax on my earnings. I want Donald Trump to get through a tax cut that will save me money. Why can't he just do that? I don't need him to be revolutionary leader. I need him to just not screw up and get a tax cut through, okay? That's all I'm asking for. Just be a middle-of-the-road guy and get a tax code through. Be able to actually manage to get a tax code through. I haven't been rich for a long time. I still make my money not the old-fashioned way. I didn't inherit it. I make my money off labor. I bust my ass. I work hard every day. So I want the money that I make through labor to not be taxed as highly so I can get rich. So, I agree. If he could get a tax cut and if he could wipe out North Korea, it would be a hell of a good 4 years. The world would be safer. Everything would be better. I would be all about it. That would be a lot more spectacular. Okay? Any questions about the Comey situation? I think it's overplayed. Donald Trump's not going to get impeached over this. I just think it was another example of ham-handed understanding of how to run the office of the presidency, and Trump has messed it up again. All right, questions. Questions from you guys. Somebody says, Clay, you're thinking about yourself. If every motherfucker only worried about himself or herself, this country would be better off. Everybody should be self-interested, i.e., be in good shape, take your vitamins, take responsibility for your work, only rely on the hand at the end of your sleeve. Everybody would be better off, all right? If you only focused on yourself and your own family and making smart decisions for yourself instead of worrying about what everybody else is going to do, the country would be a lot better off. I'm just telling you, that's the truth. To the extent people say, oh, Clay Travis is conservative, it's because my advice is self-reliant. Go take care of you. Don't worry about larger issues that you can't control. Take care of your own responsibilities every day, and you will succeed and prosper. Work hard, show up at work, do your job, do it well. It ain't that complicated. When somebody say 90% of success is showing up, that's 100% true. What's worse, White House intelligence or your golf swing? Probably White House intelligence. My golf swing, I can shoot in the 90s. All right, you can shoot in the 90s, your golf swing's not that bad. Okay, that is my thoughts on that. All right, Comey questions. Any additional Comey questions that you guys have? I haven't tweeted about it very much because I think this story is more substantial than you can tweet about in one sentence. Timing is odd, maybe. I don't think the timing's that odd. I think the timing is odd because the White House and Trump's White House is incompetent. It's not because, would it have been any worse timing if he'd done it a month ago or 3 months ago? He is incompetent. He's just an incompetent executive. He doesn't understand how to be president. Worst thing of all, he doesn't understand how to read public opinion. He's got a certain small segment of the population that's going to